Or is your mind going, what the devil did we just say now? Okay. We are able to choose, therefore we have freedom of choice. Oh, come on. And just by show of thumb,
Am I getting close? Oh no.
You need to only make that decision once. And I could then say, and if you want to know more, somewhere here on the screen is a talking about.
We will talk about freedom of choice.
Let's start in the chat by saying what you think it is. Okay, Claire said, what? Having the freedom is make my own choices. Linda says, what are we free from when we say freedom of choice? The other one is freedom of choice without judgment or governance. So, who has heard the statement that goes something like this? Okay, we are able to choose, therefore we have freedom of choice. And just by show of thumb, who says that is an accurate reflection of freedom of choice? So this is another one of those dynamics that we need to also explore another side of it. Let's say the fact that I'm able to buy this car or that car or that car or that car, is that freedom of choice?
I would say yes.
Okay, so I get some yes and I get some no's. Thank you for that response. Okay, or I can live here or I can live there or I could go anywhere, excuse me, and live where I feel like living. Therefore, I have freedom of choice.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you. So what we have spoken about so far are just options. We can have a red or a blue or a pink or live here or live there or buy this car or buy. Those are just options of some decision that we make. Freedom of choice is something else. Who would like to put forward what you think, excuse me, freedom of choice is, or could be, or what you've wondered about? Okay, Linde?
I think this freedom of choice would be influenced whether there's external constraints or not. So for me, even in making a decision of what car to buy or what house to move to, there are things that influence that. So for me, it's about if we are really free, that would be without external constraints or influences on our choices.
Okay, Linde, could I just reflect back to see if I understand what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so let us say I would like to buy a certain car in a certain price range at a certain color, and I want it to have 4 doors, and I want it to have be low on fuel consumption. So let's say that's what I want to buy. And if I find exactly that, you're saying that's freedom of choice? Did I understand you?
Yeah, yes, I guess that's freedom of choice. If there's no external influences, then it's freedom of choice.
Okay,
Because
thank you. Okay,
because now I get the car with the low fuel consumption, and I get it ticks all the boxes, but my partner is like, no, we need something with air conditioning. So that influences my choice. And originally I would have gone for that, but now I want to please my partner. So now I'm going to look for something else that has air conditioning.
okay. So when it suited you with the 4 points, that was freedom of choice. Now you've got another constraint. Now you go and look for the 4 plus the 5th one. And when you find that, that is freedom of choice.
No, when you have to go and find air.
You want to stop at the 4 and just take it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
freedom of choice.
Okay, thank you. Any other bidders here for what it might be? Okay, Pierre?
Yes, for me, freedom of choice is also non-existent currently because we have options. As soon as you have options, it means it's finite and it's limited. So if you truly had freedom of choice, you wouldn't have to go through the options to be able to determine what you want. Like if we go back to cars again, not all the car manufacturers has all the colors. So you're already limited in what you are buying just by what they are presenting to you as choice, but it's the choice that you are given. So it's not your freedom, it is still placed upon you, and you only have a limited amount of choices because whatever you want might not exist, and therefore it's not even a choice.
Okay, thank you, Pierre.
My definition would be freedom of choice is free from limitations and external factors.
Okay, so the ones we discussed here, the blues and the pinks and this color and the aircon and that, those are the external factors. When you say limitations, Claire, just help me understand what you mean by that. And welcome back, Natasha. What you mean by limitations, I just would like to clarify that.
For example, like not all like Pierre was saying that they're not, you want this color, but they don't offer that color. So there is a limitation to what you buy in terms of color, or for example, I mean, that's just an example of what I'm giving, you know what I mean? But there are other limitations as you go that you would across, you know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Claire. I got it, and thank you for clarifying. Okay, so I want to put forward a completely different stance of what freedom of choice is. And that is to be free, no matter the circumstances, to make a choice. And you need to only make that decision once. Now, goody goodness me, what does Emmanuel mean by that? Okay. Anybody want to hazard a guess as to what Emmanuel meant by that? So just to recap, I am free irrespective of the circumstances, and I only need to make that decision once.
If you only have to make it once, then it means that it does not matter what else happens, nothing can influence the choice that you've already made. That is the correct choice in any given moment. You don't need any other information to make an informed decision regarding the decision you've just made.
Okay, thank you, Pierre. I'm going to explore that in a moment. Anybody else got what could Emmanuel be on about? Okay. So, Pierre, I have heard similar to how you declared it now. I just want to come back to what you said and just reflect what I heard and how I understood it. So I understood people saying some similar words to you, to what you just said. However, I now give myself permission, just in my words now, that even if it doesn't suit me, I'm going to make peace with whatever it is. Is that more or less what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else think that that is what Emmanuel is saying? Oh, come on. Okay, shall I spill it? Linda, you've got a thought.
I do have a thought.
Okay.
I think if we are the source of our life, then automatically we are free to start off with. So choices are not given to us, because that means that we're not free then. We can make whatever choices we want. We don't have to be free from have the freedom to make, we have choices. I'm probably not making sense. I don't know how else to put it.
Okay. Linda, let's say this is the answer that's in Emmanuel's head. And remember, my answer does not have to be the right one, but let us assume that this is the answer. And
Yes.
let us say that this is the answer that I'm asking you to reflect on. Now, you are ever so slightly,
There.
just ever so slightly off. Just ever so
Okay.
slightly off. You want to
Okay.
give it another go?
Well, I always think about what you say about, the sun just does what it does, and Table Mountain just does what it does, and the acorn and all those examples that you always, it's just being. So nobody's going, okay, you are now free to be the sun and shine your rays. And am I getting close? Oh no.
Linda, you are profoundly stating it. Profoundly.
Okay.
So let's extrapolate that a little bit by going to what we said before was being free. If I want transport, does it have to be blue, red, or pink, or light on fuel? Or is it just transport?
Yeah, it's just transport.
Yeah. So we attempt to use our budget, and if our partner is going to also be in the car, and my partner says, oh, what about aircon? By the way, I would always be the one that first says it has to have aircon. Okay. Then I'm just going to get a transport that has the options that I would want. And if they haven't got that color, I just take another color because it's just transport. So we associate value, perceived value on our psyche from external things. So the sun is doing that beautiful act of just shining in a certain way and rays, and it's just doing that beautiful dance. And it doesn't ask another sun, do you think I'm doing okay with this? Or I shouldn't push my rays that far this way. I'm just being me, I'm just being the sun. Okay, so Linda, you were profound in your statement, and we could stop here now, but I would like to just bring our own lexicon into what you said.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
so
thank
let's
you.
draw what Linda was saying back to the first choice and the second choice self. While we are living as the second choice self, we perceive value to us from things. Therefore, we don't have any freedom to make the choice, because what is driving that choice?
That
Who wants to
we
guess?
need to prove that we are worthy.
Thank you. So having the blue and the options and the constraints, and that there are limitations on it, because if it were so, we would perceive value from that. Therefore, all of that is not about being free. Now, being the first choice self and being the source of our lives, we see the things that we are doing for what it is. Linda, and how you put it is quite profound. Just by being me, my choices are all free. Because there's no hidden fear, the fear that I need to watch what I'm doing or saying, because it might then expose that I'm not worthy. Therefore, it's only a once-off decision. I am me. Fear, is that too much of an oversimplification?
No, I think it's the simpler the simpler the answer, the better. You know, why overcomplicate things?
Or is your mind going, what the devil did we just say now? Completely. The only thing that helped me a lot to make that shift is to really see what I am the source of.
I like that.
So once I saw that, it was like this. It was the beacon. Let us say Deborah and I go hiking in the veld. And she's gone over this hill and on a mountain and over this hill and over this hill. And I see her 3 of these hills later right up there waving at me. it was like that, it would then be my guiding light, my beacon, to go and find Deborah, to pull me through the difficulties. The other way that you could speed it up if you wanted to, Linda, is just start writing feverishly in your diary.
I do actually journal quite a lot, Emmanuel, so
Yeah. And
Yes.
also, when you write in that diary, I don't know how you do it, but of course, if you do it in my example of what I found in praying, that I was brutally honest and I had the courage to say it. So I would like to say that if you would feel quite vulnerable, if somebody saw what you wrote in your diary, you're cracking it. If you're writing a story there, you know, just a story, you're not cracking it. If you say, oh, nobody must see this, then you are exposing you to you.
Yeah, no, there's some hardcore shit in there.
Excellent. Excellent.
Uh,
Excellent.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so is that it? Anybody have any further points or questions about what it is?
I think our second choice self obviously plays a huge factor and role in the way we make decisions.
It is completely dominant.
For instance, where our yeses are no, or our no's are yes.
Let me share what I did once to disprove the second choice self. And then you tell me if I was spot on or not.
Okay.
I realized that all the colors that I liked was a certain color, and all the material that I liked was a certain print on the material. And I bought some wingback chairs, and I chose the color, the pattern, everything. And then I looked at it and I said, but this is like how I choose all my things. I'm now going to break this pattern. And I chose something completely impractical. And this is now more than 20 years later, where I see how impractical it is, and I'm going to have it recovered to how I originally wanted it. Because what I've got now is not practical. So just to prove a point, I chose something completely different to what my usual preferences were.
Yeah, it's like there's a whole section in your book where you talk about the core being missing. And I think that is actually a very nice way of looking at when you're living from a second choice self. You actually go completely against your own values and who you are as a person. It's fascinating how many times this actually happens on a daily basis.
Yeah, Linde, and if we take the crutch and abdicating responsibility part of it,
Mm,
so this is now back to our previous topic. I'm going to worship, I'm going to pray, I'm going to be religious. And I'm going to allow the divine being to fix everything. So Emmanuel says, no, I want to be part of fixing it.
yeah, especially when things does not turn out the way you want it to turn out. I think it's very easy then to say, but I need a divine being to help me out here.
Yeah. Pia, I see you. I just want to add to that point. And then also the other notion that's into that, baked into that. Oh, the divine being works in mysterious ways, and there's a lesson that I need to learn out of that. Should I elaborate on that point?
Yes.
Okay, so let us say that I reach out and say, let's say I need help with this decision. And let us say that in that decision, I want what I want. And let us say that decision is completely based on second choice self. Now, because of that dynamic at play, I then, to justify to myself why it's not working, say the divine being works in mysterious ways, which I maybe don't need to understand. And also, it's done in that way so that I could learn whatever lesson I need to learn out of that. Because remember, if things don't work out, we say, surely there's a lesson in that that I need to learn. Did I clarify, or do I need to clarify a little bit more?
Can you clarify a little bit more, specifically on learning lessons?
Okay. So when I am me, and I chose a certain thing to do, and it doesn't pan out, I just move on and I find something else that pans out. But it didn't work, it did not work out because there was something I needed to learn out of that. It just didn't work out. There's no hidden meaning in that it didn't work out. There's no hidden lesson. So, Linde, let's look at it in another way. Nobody scripted that thing to not work out so that I could learn out of it. It just didn't work out. And if I want to find the solution, I better just get back on the horse and find the other solution, having learned that that doesn't work, with no hidden agenda in that being a lesson for me to learn that that didn't work out.
So we do learn from our experiences, but it wasn't a specific lesson
Like a
for learning.
like a predetermined lesson that I needed to learn. It was just a lesson. I learned from it, and now I've grown my experience.
Because when we say that there was a lesson that I needed to learn, what are we actually saying in that? We're saying someone else determines our path.
Yeah. And I was given that as a test.
Mm. Yes, and then we failed the test, and then it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, and that again comes to the perceived value that we need to get from everything. So, Linda, the work that you and I are doing right now, by taking the ebook page and doing things to get it to work, we are learning a hell of a lot of why it's not working, but that's not because there's a hidden lesson in there. We are just doing because we are looking for an outcome to establish that peace evolution becomes financially self-sustaining.
Yes.
We could have thrown the hat in and say, wait, we've got to go for a loan. No, we've got to get donors. No, we've got to get philanthropists. No, we've got to get shareholders with a lot of money. Now we're saying, wait. We want to have a business model and a financial model that ticks several boxes in the sense of that we can continue liking what we do and not needing to report to stakeholders and not needing to report to a bank.
Correct.
But are we learning a lot? Absolutely, every single day with every breath.
Definitely.
So, Linda, it's because we are creating brand new patterns for humanity. We want to establish that it's possible liking what you do and being able to pay the bills.
Yes.
And Pierre, in a way, we are also feeding into that point that you are saying, we are taking the limits out of it. Our business model is done in such a way, and our financial model is done in such a way that we want to keep constraints and limits out of our decision making. So now you could say, but wait, we are creating the circumstances to be okay. But are we? Or are we saying, in our creativity and in our innovation, we want to write music the way we want to write music, and we don't want other people to tell us how to write music?
Yeah, because that's being the source of your life.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So let's just look at the difference quickly. Pierre said, we have limits. What we are saying, we are creating to remove all the limits. We are being innovative to remove all the limits. Linda, so freedom of choice, I would say, let's sum it up that I could create my circumstances to be okay and make a decision that even if there are limits, I now decide to be okay with those limits. That's on the one hand. On the other hand is how you put it very well, being the source of me, or as we refer to it as the first choice self, we then decide that we need a vehicle. And it doesn't matter if the vehicle has everything we want or not. And I would also be very comfortable to say to my partner, I'm getting this vehicle, anything that you think we should have in the vehicle or not have in the vehicle, and then just do it.